Hey everybody, happy 2014 and welcome back to Photo Finds. I am John Kurowski and we are recording this live from Disney's Boardwalk Resort, which was the first resort to open at the same time as its Disney Vacation Club counterpart. All the other Disney Deluxe resorts got their DVC villas after the opening, and this did not happen again until 2011 when Disney's Aulani Resort opened up in Hawaii. We decided to ring in the new year in one of their garden suite rooms. A great secret to the resort: all you have to do is exit out the lobby to the right, down the hallway, through that door at the top of those stairs, go down those stairs, and you'll find the cottage suites. We were staying in room 1208, as the little birdhouse indicates, which we had this nice little heart-shaped hedge right outside our door, and through this port of entry was where we stayed. When you walk in, you see this sectional sofa, which does open into a queen-size bed. You have the little kitchenette to your right, with a dorm-sized fridge and microwave, sink, coffee pot, and a closet that has bedding for the sofa. This little desk is right behind the door. The lamp on top of the desk features Minnie Mouse in her nifty 90s outfit. In fact, actually, the back of the chair features Mickey and Minnie in there as they appeared in the Mickey Mouse cartoon nifty 90s. On the other side of the room, you have this staircase that leads you right up into the bedroom. The bed features a king-size bed with a flat-screen TV and a dresser, dual sink mirrors and sink for the bathroom, with this large tub that features jets. Toilet and sink are separate. There was some confusion as to how many people this room sleeps. When you book it, you can book it for 4. Even if you call the Disney Reservation Center, they will confirm that it does allow you to 4. But we were only a party of 2. When we tried to pay to add 2 more people to the room, they would not allow us, claiming that Reedy Creek doesn't allow more than 2 people to share these rooms. Not sure what causes that disconnect. It does have 2 beds, and there was definitely disconnect and confusion. But what was for certain is that when you do stay in the rooms, you do have access to the Innkeeper's Club Lounge, which is tucked away on the 4th floor of the main building. This is a very elegant seating area, which, like the Disneyland Hotel, to me, is able to balance the whimsy of the boardwalk and the gracious elegance from the era it represents, and neither sides overpower the other. Tables and sofas are all here to enjoy the different food service hours that the lounge offers. You have a large mirror with cherubs. The glass is kind of like a funhouse mirror. Even the chandeliers, upon closer look, represent a hot air balloon. Notice the hidden Mickey at the bottom. You also get turn down service at the resort. Comes with saltwater taffy instead of chocolate, and a good night card, which I am going to share with you now. And if you do have small children in the room, it's a good time to turn them out, as the image of the card is quite disturbing. It is a vintage art of a half moon, as it appears to be eating a baby. It also has a quote from Jimmy Stewart from It's a Wonderful Life at the bottom. I understand it's a throwback to the time of the boardwalk represents, but why they use this instead of classic Disney art is beyond me. But I did want to share this with everybody, so I am not the only one that this gives disturbing nightmares to at night. But we are now well into 2014, and Disney World has started its new campaign, Show Your Disney Side. This was mentioned many times on the Disney Parks Very Merry Christmas Parade on Christmas morning on ABC. It's a new trend, also kicks off a new trend, which is called Disney bounding. You can read a lot about it on Pinterest. It's where you have outfits that represent Disney characters. Not a character costume, that's not allowed. But, like, for instance, you could pick your color palette the same as Daisy Duck, and so that would be representing your Disney side. Anyway, but as we say hello to a new year, we do say goodbye to the Celebrate a Dream Come True parade in the Magic Kingdom Park. This past week, they ran 2 parades, one at 12:30 and one at 3:30, and it was a nice surprise for my personal friend Cedric Ching, as his alma mater, Clemson University from South Carolina's marching band, got to march down the parade route for the 12:30 showing on its last day on Saturday, January 4th. So welcome to Orlando, Clemson, and of course, go Tigers. This parade launched in January 2009 with the kickoff of the What Will You Celebrate marketing campaign, a popular promotion that gave guests free admission on their birthdays, which would explain why the characters are there in their party garb. This parade itself was a modified version of the Share a Dream Come True parade, which is a key attraction to the 100 Years of Magic promotion celebrating Walt Disney's 1901 birth. The floats were all featured as giant snow globes, and over the time they lost their enclosures, made them more open. It now features characters walking down Main Street, but for the first few months of its operation, it did not. You pretty much had the characters on the floats and then the people between all wearing different colored tight outfits. I never understood that artistic choice because the reason for a parade is to celebrate something, and guests lucky enough to spend the day in the Disney park should have an event too, like a parade, to celebrate that. But when you sit to watch a Disney parade, you want to see Mickey and the Seven Dwarfs and Tigger, not necessarily people you don't know doing dance steps that you don't know either. But like the other versions of the parade, Mickey is followed by Pinocchio and friends. Notice as you can see, the clock on top of the float is pointed to 3 o'clock, which is an answer to that urban legend stupid guess question: what time is the 3 o'clock parade? Pinocchio shares his space on the float with Snow White and her prince, and Dopey. Next up is the characters in flight unit, headlined by Aladdin and the Magic Carpet. This also features Bernard and Miss Bianca from The Rescuers, who flew on the back of an albatross. Dumbo, who when he believed himself could soar above the clouds, but here he is with his deliverer, Mr. Stork. Winnie the Pooh used to sit in that empty spot holding his red balloon, that made him fly to the honeybees in the 1966 cartoon Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day. And on the back of this float, the chimneys of London reveal Mary Poppins and Barrett, which make a nice transition to a British invasion float featuring characters from Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland. Next up is Cinderella's fairy godmother. And as you can see in this picture here, she is channeling her inner Justin Bieber / One Direction as she is making a heart with her fingers. She leads Cinderella and Prince Charming, who at one time were part of 3 couples that donned this much bigger float. They used to be joined by Ariel and Prince Eric and Belle and the Beast. Now all the Disney princesses are joined on this much-used castle float. The parade took its last bow off Main Street on January 4th, only to make way for a new parade starting in a few months called Festival of Fantasy. In fact, 2 of the floats have been spotted on property of Festival of Fantasy. Here is the Cinderella float, which is centered on her dress that the birds and mice make for her, with all the trees around her and like palace gardens. Here is the Rapunzel float, which got its inspiration from the Snuggly Duckling segment of the film. As you can see, different torture devices and antlers decorating it. But back to the Magic Kingdom really quick. I just wanted to point out that when we met Mickey Mouse at Town Square Theater, we actually met the original classic Mickey, still in his magician uniform, but he was not talking, as we recently reported, as he does in a previous show. So now we're going to leave Magic Kingdom and head over to Disney's Animal Kingdom in the Camp Mini Mickey section, where on Sunday, January 5th, the final performance of the Festival of the Lion King in its current venue occurred. And as you can see, Pumbaa was so sad he wanted to hang himself, but just not sure which noose to use. I did find this little Festival of the Lion King decoration that looked like it was part of a bigger display at one point in a store window, all by itself. The show itself recycled old floats from the Disneyland's Lion King Celebration Parade that ran in Anaheim from 1994 to 1997. Simba, along with Pumbaa and this elephant, they were all part of the floats, as was this giraffe. These were puppets then, and they are now, and they're used again. This was a full house, standing room only, as this always was a very, very popular show. There was even one crazy lady before the show started at 6:30 that got in the center of the theater and kissed the ground. Not sure if she hit the Dawa bar before. But a cast member from the show told me some interesting tidbits about the show. Not sure if this is common knowledge, but it's still interesting. The 4 singers that you see in the center of the stage here, along with the very popular Tumble Monkey acrobatic act, the fire twirler, who is supposed to be a hyena. I just found that out actually. And these 2, they're birds, professional dancers, along with the woman here. She's like a human tetherball. They all are contracted equity performers. If one calls out for the day, they can still run the show without the act itself. But if two can't make it to work, they will down the show. They can't leave more than one hole. So like they can't have no acrobats and no fire twirler. Which I always like when the fire twirler is dancing with the others, because it's almost like someone forgot to tell him that he's in a show. But the only element of the show that, if it's missing, is Timon. So if Timon calls out for the day, they have to down the show. Timon is the only factor that will cancel the Festival of the Lion King show for the day. The other performers are all regular character performers. They don't have an equity contract like the other dancers do. Festival of the Lion King was an opening day attraction at Disney's Animal Kingdom. It was performed in an open-air theater, but in 2003, after a hiatus, the theater reopened as its current enclosed facility. Meanwhile, work continues on the new Festival of the Lion King venue in Africa's Harambe village, just past the former Dawa Bar entrance. This show, as you can see, will not suffer the same fate that the Pocahontas and her Forest Friends show when it closed, leaving this open-air theater as stroller parking. Poor Grandmother Willow to the right said goodbye to her last Camp Minnie Mickey friends on Sunday, January 5th. Gone will be the dragon-shaped waterfall that you can see over the bridge when heading into the area, as the remains of the Dragon's Cave, a site for the Discovery riverboats to pass by, before the park's official opening with cast previews, resort guest previews, and whatnot. When the boats would go by, a big burst of flames would come out of the cave. That effect did not actually make it to opening day, but it was referenced on an episode of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, of all things, that filmed an episode at the park, and it aired on ABC right before Disney's Animal Kingdom opened. But as you can see, some work is being done on the river, as is being sectioned off. No boat section beyond that yellow partition. The Kids Discovery Center was also taken out just a couple weeks ago before the closure, was replaced by these benches. We also say goodbye to these beautiful statues of Daisy Duck with Donald's nephews, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. The food areas, this used to be known as Chippendale's Cookie Cabin, as you can see now serves hot dogs, was open. They are sometimes shut through a lot of the year due to low guest traffic. But it was very, very busy that week. They did bring out other characters besides the ones that you see on the normal character trails. Poor Donald, he has been catching this boot since 1998, and Goofy has been only catching Z's. Gone were the Mickey and Pluto statues that used to be in this area too. But we're going to leave Animal Kingdom and head over to Disney's All-Star Sports Resort, where they received a new facelift to their food court, making it a little bit more open and brighter. Some new light fixtures that kind of, I guess they're supposed to represent basketballs. But as you can see, they have new art along the booths that feature the new cartoons that are airing on the Disney Channel. You saw Mickey and Goofy doing track and field, Donald and Goofy diving. Here's Mickey and Goofy playing Minnie and Goofy playing beach volleyball, Mickey and Goofy playing baseball. These cartoons are directed by Paul Rudish, who made a name for himself in the late 1990s at Cartoon Network with shows like Dexter's Lab and the Powerpuff Girls. Here's Donald and Daisy swimming, Donald and Daisy playing soccer. These cartoons have a very silly feel to them. As you can see, they kind of look like Powerpuff Girls. Here's my favorite, though. Here's Minnie and a large character. Not sure if this is supposed to be Pete, but if you look in the crowds, you will see something hidden. And that is Steve Barrett, the author of the Hidden Mickey's books. As you can see, he's wearing Steve's signature hat. He also has a hidden Mickey on his shirt and a yellow book with a magnifying glass, just like Steve's book. Thank you to Steve Barrett and his wife Vickie for supplying me with this picture of Steve posing with his caricature. I'm sure Steve is thrilled to be immortalized in Disney. His books are very, very popular and can be found throughout the resorts, with a special edition for the cruise line as well. And it makes a great activity for a whole family to do when touring the parks, as it forces you to examine minor details that you otherwise would have missed. Now, outside the food court and the gift shop at the All-Stars, they've set up these little Hall of Fame display windows. Here's a window that headline is January 13th, 2013, right after last year's Walt Disney World Marathon. It makes it look like newsprint, but they are actually screens, so they can be swapped out quite easily. If, to change the headlines, this one is to buy the food court, and that also features the Brazil. The Run of Brazil. Here's one for Selena Gomez, former Wizards of Waverly Place star. This is at All Star Music, and so is this one featuring Queen, the classic rock band Queen that Disney acquired the rights to in the early 1990s. If you look closer, you'll notice the G-Force Records logo. This is a nod to the Rock and Roller Coaster, the fictional record company that you do see that you go into their studios when riding the attraction. The sheet music is actually plastic, and it's a little more permanent. It does feature the music of When You Wish Upon a Star. But while we're at All-Star Music, I do want to head over to the Broadway section of the resort. When All-Star opened in 1994, Disney had one Broadway show, and that was Beauty and the Beast. And they had the marketing for Beauty and the Beast. But now that Disney's catalog of Broadway musicals has expanded, we now have Newsies, which opened in 2012. As a limited engagement was so popular, they extended to an open run. Tarzan, not a big hit on Broadway, from 2006 to 2007 at the Richard Rodgers Theater, but it is a big hit overseas. Here's a poster for The Little Mermaid on Broadway with its original and only leading lady, Sierra Burgess. As Mary Poppins, original Broadway stars Ashley Brown and Gavin Lee, who Gavin Lee also originated the role of Bert at the Prince Edward Theatre on the West End of London before it came to the United States. In fact, speaking of Mary Poppins, this is what the outside of the New Amsterdam Theater looked like in New York City the day after I got to attend Mary Poppins' final Broadway performance in March of 2013. And this is what the other side of the All-Star Music building looks like, which also shares the Mary Poppins marquee with The Little Mermaid. Also not a big hit. It ran on Broadway. It ran from 2008 to 2009, but has been licensed out to regional and international performances. And The Lion King, which opened on Broadway in 1997 and has been at the Minskoff Theater ever since. To this day. Here's a poster of Simba and Nala from The Lion King, as is Terrence Mann as the Beast and Susan Egan as Belle. The two originated these roles in 1994. Egan later went on to voice Megara in Hercules. As you can see, they make the outside of the buildings to look like authentic New York City theaters, and some creatures are even dying to stay there. Well, that is going to do it for me today. I would like to give a special thanks to my friend Cedric Ching for helping me with the shots for the last day of the parade, and Steve and Vickie Barrett for supplying the photos of Steve with his hidden Mickey image. You guys must be thrilled. I know I am for you. I would also like to dedicate this episode of Photo Finds to the Castle Float. You have worked really hard these last 20 some odd years when you first rolled into Disney World for the 25th anniversary parade, and have been performing on and off in various parades ever since. Can we have a new parade that doesn't feature this float? I sure hope so. Well, until next week, goodbye and thank you for listening.